Okay, assignment today. I want to review a problem from last week first. It says a gym offers two options for membership plans. Option A charges a $121 initiation fee and $1 per day. Option B has a charge of $12 per day. After how many days is the total cost for the two gyms equal? Okay, so you got dollars and days. Now the time unit's your X, the dollars is your Y, so it'd be dollars per day. Well, 121 isn't a dollars I pay every day, but the 1 is, and so is the 12, but it's for two different gyms. So I don't add those, I keep them separate, 1 times X, 12 times X. So that means we're going to have to go with two tables, okay? Okay, so X is days, Y is dollars. X is days, Y is dollars. So we're going to do the 0, 1, 2, the 0, 1, 2. So let's talk about the 1. So before the $1 per day, we had $121. Then every day I add 1. So 122, 123. Now cross out the 121 and the 1 so you're not looking all over the place. Now $12 per day, well there ain't a number there, so we started with 0 and then we start adding 12. So it's 12 and then 24. Now eventually these costs will end up the same. Now this one costs a lot more than this one now, but if he's gaining 12 every day and he's gaining 1, eventually they will be equal. So I make double lines. Now don't put 123 at the beginning, you put your very first Y amount, okay, 121. And the number you added was 1 times X. Now over here don't put 24, you put your very first Y amount, which is 0. And then we started adding 12 times X. Cross out the Y's and make your equation. So on one side you got 121 plus 1 times X. On the other side you got 0 plus 12 times X. Now pick an X to get rid of. Again, on a story problem I usually do the smaller one, okay? So I mark that, get that to 0, because you can't do the line. They're on opposite sides of the equation. So take out a positive 1x, you minus 1x, and then you go under the 12x and minus that. Now here's where the X is going to be. It's going to have 11. Now if you have 0, don't write anything, okay? 0, 0. So the only operation you have is the times 11, and you just need to divide. You don't have to add or subtract anymore. So divide by 11, divide by 11. 121 divided by 11 is 11. So 11 days. Now you can check your answer if 11 goes in for your X's. Okay, you don't have to, but. So if I take 121 plus 1 times 11, that's a cost of 132. 0, 0, you can leave that out. Just take 12 times 11. That's 132, so that's a correct answer. Now that isn't on the assignment. I just wanted to review it because it is an important problem that comes up quite frequently. Now you're going to learn something new though. I'm going to have a certain way I'm going to go about teaching it so you get an understanding of it. Now you're solving for X, so again, there's only going to be one X in this assignment. That put it times dot, it's by a fraction, so you circle that. On this problem, you don't have an outside number you have to take out by adding, subtracting. Now, even though that's a fraction, we're still going to underline and divide by a half. And then X is by itself. Now some of you are thinking, how the heck do you take 4 divided by 1/2? This is how. Pick a box up in the corner and split it in half. And write out with the actual division sign, 4 divided by 1/2. Now the first thing you're going to do is put a number under the 4, put a 1 under it. To make a whole number into a fraction, you put a 1 under it. Then in the second box, you're going to write 4 over 1, but you're going to change the division to times, and you're going to flip that to 2 over 1. That's how you divide fractions. So 4 times 2 is 8. Underline it. 1 times 1 is 1, and 8 divided by 1 is 8. So I now put 8 over here, and that's the answer. Okay, my next problem. We've got times That's the only operation we have. So we just divide then. There's not that outside number that I have to add or subtract. So I underline, and I'm going to be dividing by negative 1/3. Now x is by itself, but I got to figure out what the heck 5 divided by negative 1/3 is, okay? So copy that with an actual division sign. So put a 1 under the 5 because you should have a fraction to go with that. You just put a 1 under it. Always a 1. Because 5 divided by 1 is the same as 5. So 5 over 1, then you switch that to times, and then you flip the 1 after it. So it's 3 over negative 1. Just put the negative with the 1. The negative's just with the 1, not with the 3. So that's 15. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 15 divided by negative 1 is negative 15. So that's your solution. Okay, next one. You got times by a fraction. There's not an outside number. So you're going to divide by 2/5. You know the divide by 2/5 gets rid of the times 2/5. But what the heck? What the heck is 40 divided by 2/5? So I put 40 divided by 2/5. So put a 1 under the 40 because you need a fraction to go with the other fraction. Now the 40 over 1 stays like it is. This goes to times. Flip that to 5 over 2. Now you multiply 40 times 5. That's 200. Underline it. 1 times 2 is 2. Then we take 200 divided by 2, and that's 100. So out of that whole mess, we have 100 as the answer. Because 2/5 of 100 equals 40. Okay. And you can check your answer by taking 2/5 times 100, and it's 40. Okay, next one. You got times by a fraction. Okay. So again, we divide. The divide by the fraction gets rid of the times. And then to divide 100 by 4/5, we're going to write 100 divided by 4/5. We're going to write 100 over 1, switch the division to a times, and then put 5 over 4. So 100 times 5 is 500. Now I underline it, and 1 times 4 is 4. So I take 500 divided by 4. So I put equals 125, and then I come over here and write 125, and we have solved the equation. Okay, next problem, next sheet, okay? Now, you got another two operations. You have the times like we had before, but you got to take out the positive 4. So to go from positive 4 to 0, you'd minus 4. That's not 56. If you're at a negative 60, you go backwards 4. So negative 61, negative 62, negative 63, negative 64. Okay, now I divide. So show your work, show the underline. So x is by itself, and then we need to divide the negative 64 by 4/5. So negative, stupid stapler. Negative 64 divided by 4 over 5. So put a 1 with the 64. Then you still have negative 64 over 1. The negative's just with the 64. If you have a negative, it's just to the 1 on top. Switch it to times, and then 5 over 4. Now, take negative 64 times 5. It's negative 320. And then 1 times 4 is 4. Now divide negative 320 by 4, and you got your answer. Negative 80, okay? That's why you got to remember the negative sign when you're working over there. Okay, next problem. There's the equals, looks like crap. But so times and plus. So I highlight the times, okay? So I got to take out the plus 3. So minus 3, minus 3. Okay, negative 17 minus 3, number line. You're at negative 17, you go 3 backwards. Negative 18, negative 19, negative 20. Okay. Now we divide, okay. by the fraction negative 5 over 6, because that gets rid of the times negative 5 over 6. Now I got a mess here, but I'm going to do it over here. So negative 20 divided by negative 5 over 6. We need a 1 to go with the 20 then, because we want a fraction to go with that fraction. Switch the division to multiplication. Then flip it to 6 over negative 5. Okay. The 5 still negative. Okay. So negative 20 times 6 is negative 120. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Then I divide negative 120 by negative 5 and I get 24. Okay, so 24 is the solution to the equation. You can check it by taking your negative 5 over 6 times, and then 24 goes in for x. Then I add 3, and it better be negative 17, which it is. Okay, last two. Here's the equals. So times plus, highlight the times, okay? So you got to take out your positive 4 first, minus 4. That would take you to 8. Okay, we still got the times, so we get rid of times, we do what we always do. We underline and divide. But on that other side, take 8 divided by 1/2. So it's 8 over 1. Well, it's going to stay 8 over 1. We make that times, and then that becomes 2 over 1. So 8 times 2 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. You just times the tops, times the bottoms, and then divide 16 by 1. That equals 16. Is that the right answer? Well, let's check it. 1/2 times, and let's have 16 go in for x, plus 4. 12. Okay, yep. Okay, last problem. So we got times. Again, you want to circle, highlight times when you have it. Because for stuff later on, you're going to want to do that, trust me. Okay. Okay, you don't have a number you have to take out, so you go right into your dividing, okay, by negative 3/8. Because that's the only operation you have on that side, is it times negative 3/8, so you divide by negative 3/8. Okay, so over here I've got the problem 15 divided by negative 3 over 8. Put a 1 under your 15, so 15 over 1 times 8 over negative 3. The negative stays, okay? 15 times 8 is 120. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Divide by a negative, positive divided by a negative is a negative. 120 divided by 3 is 40. So negative 40 is the solution. So I can check my answer by taking negative 3/8 times, and then putting negative 40 where x is at. 15. Okay.